So you have some equity in your house, or you have some cash in the bank, and you're looking to invest into Calgary real estate. Now, this year my investment strategies have changed quite a bit from last year and the year before. There's no one size fits all, and Calgary is still looking very good for the average real estate investor. Now, I'm not going to talk about why you should invest in Calgary in this video. I will be uploading more videos about that topic in coming months. This video is actually concentrated of how I'm actually advising my investor clients in 2023. Hello, my name is Adam Fyfe, and if you want to chat more about this, go ahead and book a call. It's the very first link in the description. Now, how this is going to work is I'm going to break down the three types of investors, then I'm going to come back and share some thoughts on what to do for each investor. From my experience, the three types of investors are the cash buyer, the 20% down or more, and the house hacker who has 5% down. Now, these strategies are very different for all three investors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the 5% down house hackers. Is basically the first-time home buyer or someone who's looking to make a move, maybe to a new city. They purchase a home for 5% down and have a renter to move into that home to pay a portion of their mortgage and then potentially move to a new home after 12 months. Now, every house hacker has a completely different strategy, and that's based off of their desired outcome. House hackers should be setting up searches for homes with legal basement suites for many different reasons. Now, I'm not going to touch on the difference between legal and illegal basement suites in this video, but after preparing for this video and kind of putting some thought into it, I think it would be a good idea for me to dive a little bit deeper into that segment and talk about what the differences are, because I know a lot of people ask. House hackers should be considering their searches near colleges, universities, public transit, and LRT, and hospitals for that matter. Now, with that being said, for house hackers, I truthfully believe that semi-detached homes with legal basement suites are a great step in the right direction at a lower price point. Okay, so you have 20% down and you're ready to make an investment. In 2023, my personal opinion, Airbnbs is one of the best ways forward. They can produce some of the strongest cash flow right now. They are very hard to come by and almost always get into multiple offer situation. Downtown apartments, inner city townhouse, as well as detached homes in communities like Harvest Hills and Country Hills near the airport are great places to start your search. Long-term rentals are possible, but your monthly cash flow will be pretty tight in 2023. This type of investment is a lot more difficult to source out currently. The cost of borrowing and the fast increase in home prices have made it difficult for investors to really achieve those cap rates necessary to be comfortable pulling the trigger. Cap rate is definitely one of those other topics that I really should create a video on, and I probably will do that. But cap rate is basically your rate of return. Now, let's do a quick rate comparison to showcase why long-term renters are a little bit more difficult. So what I've done in this situation is I've asked two trusted mortgage brokers what their opinion is on different interest rates. Now, one from Quantus Mortgage Solutions and the second one from Mortgage Connection. So what I've done is I've asked them to give me the monthly mortgage payment at two different interest rates at $500,000. Now, this is the higher end of the scale, but I really wanted to showcase just how much mortgage payments have increased. Now, mortgage broker A gave me an interest rate of 2% back when interest rates were that low. On $500,000, you're looking at paying about $2,100 a month. Fast forward of a interest rate at 4.64%, your mortgage payment has now gone up to $2,800. So that's an increase of $700 per month just in the mortgage payment. Now, mortgage broker B, same scenario, $500,000 mortgage, conventional mortgage. The payment at 2% would have been $2,100, so they're in line. But mortgage broker B gave me a 5.5% example, and the mortgage payment went up to over $3,000. So that right there is a $900 increase. So when you start to put those very rough numbers together, you can start to see that there is a very big increase in payment. You also have to remember, home prices have increased by almost $100,000 in a lot of areas for detached homes in Calgary. Now, condos and townhouses are a little bit different. Watch my market recap videos to get a little bit more of an insight on their increases. But with such a crazy increase in interest rates and such a crazy increase in mortgage payment or your debt, your mortgage, you are looking at a very tight situation for long-term renters. So these are the reasons why Airbnbs for me make sense because the cash flow is a lot greater than a long-term renter. So with that all being said, if you were to invest in a home between 2016 and 19, when prices were $100,000 less and interest rates were fairly low for the most part, this conversation would be a lot different, where we could talk about those long-term renters. But right now, Airbnbs with a positive cash flow are what I'm advising for 2023. All right, so the next one here is all cash buyers. Now, all cash buyers can always create a really good looking portfolio with nice looking cash flow because you're not paying interest on your money. You can park your cash into an asset and have it slowly repay you over time. Now, all cash is really not that popular. Why would you lock your cash up in an asset when you could simply leverage another asset to gain more assets? Now, if you're blessed enough to have all cash, I would recommend that you take that new asset and then start leveraging it and building more assets, because you can really double and triple down on your portfolio in a pretty tight looking time frame. Now, before we get into what to actually look for, I really do want to stress that consultations are just so important. Don't take my word from a video and start doing your own searches. If you're interested in this type of thing, book a 30-minute call, ask the questions, and I will give you the time of day. I like to build the relationships because you never know where they're going to go. But I would like to know if you are qualified before making any crazy moves, before we start sharing too much information with one another. Now, I would also like to say that I tell every single investor who comes to me for advice that the odds of you finding an investment within your first few weeks is pretty slim. Teaching someone about cap rates, cash flow, and what to actually look for really does take some time. You are not the only one looking for investment properties here in Calgary. Get in line. The amount of automated searches for investment properties will really blow your mind. Good properties either sell off market or they sell very fast on the MLS. Now, it typically takes a couple of months and a couple of really good automated searches to find your feet. One random day, a listing will come on the market and you will have to be ready to act very fast within 24 hours, or else you start to run the risk that you're going to lose out on that opportunity. I work with many experienced and inexperienced investors. The fast movement and the fast decision-making process is not for everyone, so please make sure you are 100% ready to commit if you're going to do this type of research. People get nervous, and I understand that. I don't actually pressure people into any transaction ever, but I do advise my clients to make fast decisions. Get your numbers in order and make sure you are ready to plug in the numbers into an analytical data sheet very fast so you know if it's a good move or not. The negotiation process is very fast moving. You may need to get burnt a few times before you really start to get the full picture. Okay, so let's talk about what to look for, and let's start with those house hackers. Now, house hackers should start their search in northwest or southwest quadrants of Calgary. They don't need to end their search there, but it's a good place to start. We have great universities and a pretty good city transit system to support their renters. Now, both of these quadrants also have major hospitals and solid amenities. I would like to note that I really like half duplexes that are suited. Now, the price points are typically lower, and Calgary has a really good amount of them. But the thing that you need to keep in mind with half duplexes that are suited is that they are quite old. Now, one thing to kind of add on top of that is the workmanship of those half duplexes that are suited. I usually call them suited half duplexes, but I'm mixing up my words today. But the workmanship is so important. The workmanship of a home is really going to dictate if that home is really taken care of. Now, especially when you go into an illegal basement suite. This is one of the reasons why I go legal. Legal basement suites have to go through the permit process. They've got to go through inspections. Typically, they're done by professionals. Illegal basement suites, Wild West. You have no idea if the windows are the right size, if the permits were pulled, if it was a professional who did it. You don't know what's behind the walls, anything. You have no idea what it looks like. So if you're gonna go illegal, make sure that you're looking at, is there DAP on the trim? Is everything square and straight? Does the paint look really good in corners? Is the drywall chipping? There's so many little things that you really should look for when you're talking about workmanship. I'm very lucky. I used to be a plumber. I have really good hands-on experience in different trades. And I used to be a tool sales rep, so I have quite a bit of tools in my arsenal. But you really do need to look at these things from a lens of an investor who's looking at the workmanship of the property, because behind walls is very hard to dictate what it is. Now, house hackers really do need to put into consideration that rentfaster.ca is a very good starting point for looking at rents in the area. This will not really this will help you get a better idea of what things are going to go for if you were to put it up on rent. Now, it's just a base point. It's only one piece of the pie to consider, but going on a place like rentfaster.ca and figuring out what rents are going for in that area really will help dictate if maybe you choose a different area with higher rents. Maybe the house is higher price in those areas, but maybe you get higher rents, or you got a low price in a lower area with a higher rent, whatever. Like, there's so many different variables. So workmanship and rentfaster.ca are my advice for house hackers. And next is the Airbnbs. Again, this is my main concentration in 2023 because it produces the best cash flow for my personal experience. Now, for this type of investment, I would typically start with a search 1 bedroom plus den or 2 bedroom condos that are in the downtown core. For townhouses, I will stay relatively close to the city center where walkability is very high. And for detached homes, I really liked Harvest Hills and Country Hills because they're so close to the airport. Now, when Airbnbs are into consideration, you need to invest in an Airbnb that will create great memories. And that's really weird to say. That means that location and features are the utmost importance. Units with really great features, really great views, a balcony, and maybe like a theme are units that produce the highest and best return. The highs are very high in Airbnb, but the lows are very low. So we need to think of when something like the Stampede is on and you're creating some of the best memories for people. Those are going to be very good memories, and you can charge a premium for that. Where there's a feature of a home that's very unique. Let's say there's a carriage home or a older home built in 1912 that has a really cool kind of feng shui about it, if you would. Those create great memories. Those give you really good reviews on Airbnb. But the lows are very low. So we need to figure out how we're going to survive those low months. Now, you might not make, $1,000 or $10,000 a month, whatever the number may be. So you need to make sure that you're in a position that it is so unique that people will continue to go there even in the slow winter months. Walkability is also very important for Airbnbs, as I mentioned before. Walkability for the Stampede, for different events and venues in Calgary is some of the utmost important things to consider. You could have a really, really nice looking apartment that's in the middle of nowhere. That might not be the best walkability because the highs are high and the lows are low. Sometimes it's nice to stay in the middle, but with Airbnbs, we've found that when you can maximize and ask a premium on your Airbnb, that's when you're going to make the most amount of money. Now, my all cash buyers, they have many options, basically unlimited. How do you, the investor, want to build your portfolio? Are you concentrating on producing the biggest amount of cash flow? Airbnb. Are you wanting to leverage your purchase for more homes? Maybe long-term renters. Breaking this down and configuring what is most important to you is absolutely critical. New construction is quite popular for all cash buyers because the equity growth in new communities is pretty high. Typically, when you buy a new construction and the community is completely developed, there's no more construction in there, you find that there's a small bump in price. So what you could do is you can get a long-term renter in some of those communities. You can have them rent over the next let's say 3 years while the development is being done, and then you can sell off that property for, hopefully, not a loss, but hopefully for a gain. I was almost going to say loss, and that's a horrible piece of advice. Hopefully for a gain. But you could also leverage one asset for more assets in a shorter period of time. So if you buy an all cash property, you have it there, it's producing an income. You can then take that asset, pull a small mortgage against it, go and buy another asset. Are you looking to build equity or are you looking to build cash flow? Two different roads. Then from there, you have two assets. Are you going to leverage both of them? Are you going to leverage one? You have a lot more options as a cash buyer because now you have all of this equity that banks like. Banks like cash, but banks like equity in properties as well. So in conclusion, after my long rant, I really want to highlight that this is only a highlight. It's a basic explanation of what I see and how I talk. But I want to say that in 2023, Airbnbs are going to be my main focus for investors. I have real data, and it provides me with an opportunity to see real opportunities that cash flow very well over a 12-month average. Again, this really does take time to be educated and learn what to look for. Now, house hackers or first-time home buyers, they can still have a portion of their mortgage paid down, and that's a whole separate video. But for the most part, Diving into the numbers, making sense of cap rates, understanding the different areas of Calgary and what can come from those areas is going to be your most important aspect of looking at an investment. So I really appreciate you watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.